Good morning.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, y'all. This is the WOW Podcast, WOWW, Wendy's on Wellness Wednesday. I'm Dr. Wendy Sue Massey. I am the owner of Freedom Holistic Wellness. I'm an integrative medicine practitioner, wife, mom, Gigi, author, gardener, lover of Jesus, lover of all things natural and non-toxic. And this is my amazing bestie, Wendy Flournoy.
Hey guys, Wendy Flournoy, certified hypnotherapist, herbalist, forager, educator, student, wife, mom, Gigi, lover of all things non-toxic and God-given.
Amen, sister. And we have an amazing guest in the studio today. This is Rachelle. Rachelle, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We are so excited to hear Rachelle's story today. Y'all, when I have the absolute just joy and pleasure and honor to work with folks, every once in a while I get a somebody that I work with that just not only do they just impact my heart and my life, but I know they have a story to impact the world. And this is one of those gals. I'm telling you, she has been amazing. I have had the pleasure of knowing her. Has it been over 2 years now?
I don't think it's quite been just about 2 years.
About 2 years. Yeah. And she's had quite a journey that she's going to share today. So after we get done with our normal chit chat here at the beginning, we're going to let Rachelle share her testimony. And I'm so excited about that. I do want to
love it.
Yes. We've been wanting to do this for a long time. On the screen, you see the Freedom Holistic Wellness QR code. And as we have been doing the last few episodes, we're going to swap these out. I'm going to throw up the Restoration Garden. Wendy, do you want to tell us where you're at with your website right now?
It is up and running. It is secure. I'm still working on adding things, which last week was total disaster and everything got thrown to the side because life is life and priorities.
Yes.
Michelle, my friend, is doing wonderful.
That's amazing.
She is actually eating better this week and feeling better. And so y'all just please keep praying for her.
Absolutely.
I ended up running Rick to the emergency room on Friday after his infusion at Virginia Cancer Institute. Him and I both feel like it was a reaction to the Benadryl.
Wow.
The doctors don't think that, but they don't know what happened. So he's never taken Benadryl again.
I'm sure.
Because he was struggling to breathe so bad, but he's perfectly fine. That was just a Friday afternoon, evening thing. We came home. He was great all weekend and great since. So thank y'all for the prayers for that, because I was panicking on Friday and threw up a quick Facebook thing like, prayers up, please.
My goodness.
Because when he panics, I panic.
Of course.
When he stays calm, I'm good, but it's like he was panicking. So I was like, oh, if he wants me to take him to the emergency room, it's bad.
That is bad. He's like Bill on that. They are tough guys. And if they
don't want to do that.
No. So, if they're requesting to go to the ER, you better listen. Wow.
Absolutely. So everything's good on that front, but the website is up and running. There are some products there. It is secure for payment. However, if you're in the school community of Freedom Holistic Wellness and you get a discount, don't go through the website. Contact me directly, because you're not going to get that discount through the website.
Right. Very good. Thank you for that, honey. Our first sponsor today, notice it says PP code. That PP stands for plant paper. I'm very limited on my number of characters, but I thought that was funny that it was PP for plant paper. This is a bamboo derived natural toilet paper that we switched to just over a year ago, and we love this.
Nice.
You don't realize how many chemicals are in your regular toilet paper. And I don't know about you, but once I realized that, I don't want all those chemicals, in your very sensitive areas of your body. So
it's one of those things that once you learn it, you can't, every time you go to the bathroom, you'll think about it.
Yes. And, and I've shared, my husband had cancer and his was anal rectal. And so, and he doesn't mind when I get that personal, but it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, is to make sure that we are not using any kind of chemicals in our bathroom. Right. And so this was just a next step, and we love it. And it's not that expensive. But when you use code Dr. Wendy 20, I believe it gives you a 20% off discount on brand new subscriptions. Okay. So make sure you use that code if you're interested in signing up. And it's wonderful product. Wonderful product. So Wendy, what have you, you just told us what you did this week. You had chaos.
Yeah. Oh, pretty much everything got put on the back burner because of other things. But this week I've been working on restocking, remaking soaps, and I've been harvesting boatloads of stinging nettle, boatloads of oregano. Things are starting to come in like crazy. So the freeze dryer is running on overdrive. So you know how it is. The season is picking up. So the rest of today after this, I will be in the kitchen making herbal products. That's why my hair is all up, because,
yes,
everybody wants my hair in their stuff.
You just reminded me of something. I need to share this. And this is something I haven't even mentioned to you yet. So you're going to be kind of caught off guard, but it's not a bad thing. I was thinking about this the other day, and it's something we don't talk about enough. When you use a natural product, you've got to sometimes give it time, especially when we're talking about hair care, skin care, things like that. Just like when I encourage somebody to take a supplement for something targeted that we're working on, it doesn't happen immediately. We're very much in this microwave generation where we think that everything has to happen immediately.
Yeah.
Or we'll take medications that the doctor prescribes that might seem to work quickly, but all they're doing is tempering the symptoms. Yes. So they're not actually working on the underlying thing as much. So I bring this up because, prime example, Wendy has been making these amazing shampoo bars. Like, I cannot recommend them enough. But it's so interesting, the evolution. Yeah. So the first one she made, your rosemary avocado part 1, that one, my hair, after years of using another natural shampoo, my hair got really oily at first.
Yeah.
And it was just a few weeks. And I had gotten used to where I only had to use, only had to shampoo my hair 1 to 2 times a week. And when I started using Wendy's shampoo bar, I was having to do it every other day because it was just getting oily. So then my hair gets used to it. I'm back at the 2 days a week. Now, Wendy has rosemary avocado bar part 2. And I started using that and my head started itching. And I thought, oh, okay, what did she put in there? And I went back to, remember the day that I reacted to the lye? We'll cover that some other time. That was not fun.
And that was my fault too, because it was not cured long enough.
Right. That was when you were early on in your learning process with the soap. But anyway, so my head's itching for, I don't know, a week. And even Bill was laughing because we've had a lot of ticks in our area. And he's like, are you just like creepy crawling because of the ticks? And I'm like, no, my head keeps itching. Girl, after a week of that, now 0 itching. I'm back to just needing a day or 2 of a week, once or twice a week of washing. So just allow the process. Because
there's an herb called amla in that second batch of shampoo bars.
Yeah.
And it was a herb that I had never heard of before, but it is specifically for scalp health.
Okay.
And it may have been that herb getting down into your scalp.
It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have
been almost like a scalp detoxing.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because I had the same evolution using it too, because it's like I'm down to 1 or 2 times washing my hair a week now. And so those shampoo bars are going to last forever.
They do. That is the thing that blows my mind. Me and Bill both use that first bar. I mean, we're still using both.
Yeah, those were the little bars.
Yes.
Those were little.
It took us, I bet, 3 months for us to get through one of the little bars. And now we got this huge bar of your part 2.
Yeah, part 2 is full-size bars.
Yes. So I'm going to need one in about, I don't know, October. If you could just plan on that, that'd be great. No, but seriously, I love these things and I just can't recommend them enough. But I just encourage you all, whether it's one of Wendy's products, whether it's anything, give your body a chance to get used to it, just like you would a supplement, we talk
about that all the time. It's like you won't have instant gratification or instant changes when you're drinking a tea for medicinal purposes.
Right.
Right. It's a slow, gradual change.
Exactly.
I'm sure we're going to hear about slow, gradual changes when Rachelle tells her story.
Yes.
Slow, definitely.
But but slow and steady wins the race, right?
It does. It does. And you know what? That is such a great message for today, not only about these products, and I didn't even intend that, but what we're going to hear about from Rachelle and just anything in life. Y'all, you got to get out of the mindset of, I need this now, quick fix. That's why we're in this world now where everybody's turning to shots, everybody. And before I get crucified in my email or in my DMs, y'all, I know there's a time and place for some of them. I have some dear, dear friends and family that are on them. I know there is a place and a time for it, but y'all, not a soul can look me dead in the eye and not admit, because you're not gonna be able to look me dead in the eye and say it, that people are using these for quick fixes when they don't need them medically. And I'm talking people going, wow, I really want to lose 15 pounds. Are you kidding me? I mean, things like that. It just does. The benefits do not match the risk, and the risks are massive. And so, it's just this quick fix world that we are in. And so you're going to hear this very inspiring story today from someone who has decided not to be part of that quick fix world. She has done this over a very slow, gradual period, and she has got such a story to tell. One of the things that she's going to be doing for her own comfort, and also for the fact that she was very concerned about forgetting a detail that's so important, because when you have a story like hers, there's a lot to cover. So she's going to actually read you her testimony, and then we'll discuss, and so Wendy and I are going to sit back and listen. I hope you all will stay tuned in and listen, because this is such an incredible journey that Rachelle has been on. So with that, Rachelle, my love,
take it away.
My turn. Well, thank you. Okay. I guess it all started towards the beginning of 2024. I made a decision to address my health. But I had no idea what else was about to change along with that. And it started because for years I was just kind of getting by. I was getting sick of being sick, and a lot of medical bills and things like that I couldn't afford. It was, the last time I think I went into a walk-in clinic for being sick with the bill was almost $2,000. I said, this is ridiculous. I knew it. And then I get sick and it would take me weeks to recover. So I knew something had to change.
Yeah.
So I started where most people do, making what I thought were healthy choices, even though looking back, a lot of them weren't, because I didn't know anything about label reading at that time. I trusted what was on the front of the package. And along with that, I did start walking, and I was actually, and for the first time in a long time, I was actually trying. I did that on my own for about 5 months, made some progress, but I knew I needed some more. So around May of 2024, I came across Wendy Sue, and I wasn't looking for anything specific at that time. I was just searching for answers, and I stumbled upon her page. Imagine that.
Woo-hoo!
God driven.
I was hesitant at first because there's so much information and misinformation out there. You know, how do you know what to believe? But I took my time. I followed her for months, watched her videos, and then I applied everything what she was teaching before I committed to anything. And by the end of 2024, I had lost about 80 pounds. Then at the beginning of 2025, I joined her program because I was struggling with a few certain things and I needed more support than I can do on my own. And that's when things really started to shift. But about 5 months in, something unexpected happened. I had removed enough noise to finally hear what was happening inside of me, and I didn't like everything I heard. Because I was finally fixing the food, but I wasn't numbing anything out anymore. When the noise got quieter, I started seeing everything I had been using just to get through life. Food, alcohol, medications, unhealthy relationships, distractions, and how badly I felt about myself. All those years I said I was fine, I really wasn't. On the outside, I looked healthier, but on the inside, I was falling apart. I felt very empty. That part was harder than the weight loss. Because the truth was, there was a lot more in me that needed healing than I realized. I was in a really dark place at that time. A lot of regret surfaced, a lot of shame, things I had to sit with for the first time. I didn't know how to handle everything that was coming up, and I had nothing left to hide behind. That's when Wendy reminded me of the book, The Power to Change by Rachelle. My mom told me to start praying. I started listening to different kind of music. I was careful about what I watched on TV. I went looking for a church. And I had never been someone who really prayed, but I was kind of out of options at that time. And I was willing to try anything. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I started feeling like God was reminding me he was still there. That's when I realized this was never just about the weight loss. It didn't stop at the food. Over time, almost everything started changing. My routines, my mindset, the way I handled stress, the things I consumed, the people I allowed close to me, the way I cared for myself. So today, life feels a lot more peaceful than it used to. I'm down about 160 pounds, all natural. I'm off all medications, and I'm healing in ways I never expected. I feel like I got a second chance at life. I know that, and I don't take it lightly. I hope everyone finds this encouraging and no one gives up. It's well worth the journey. I don't have it all figured out yet, but I'm staying open to what I may be called to next. And that's it.
I love that. What a story. I have God bumps all up and down.
Over here trying not to bawl.
I know.
You're amazing. You are amazing. And I don't ever want you to forget that, because do you know how many people give up when it's hard?
Yeah.
That, I think, it's been
how many people would have just stopped at 80 pounds and never went any further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I was just over it. I was just over being sick. I wanted these problems to go away. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was so sick of relying on medications, and you go in and you would get no answers, and it was, take this. And I think my blood pressure meds went up they upped that about 3 different times.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't getting better and food was never addressed.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything else in my life was never addressed.
Right. Yeah. It's just, let's throw pills at the symptoms or at the disease process and not get to the root cause. Well, I'm going to tell you what inspires me most about you, Rachelle, because as you know, I mean, I talk to people very intimately, hundreds, thousands of people, that when times get hard, either they stop talking to me or they really, really struggle and want to quit. I have watched you persevere. And it's really funny because my daily video today is about perseverance. You are the definition of perseverance, because whenever you were struggling at your worst, you reached out, you came to me for answers, and you always applied everything. Even when I didn't have an answer and I was trying to point you in a good direction, you always did. And I mean, there was no quit in your fight ever.
How amazing is it that you got to the point where you realized that getting rid of the food, the unhealthy food, wasn't going to fix what else needed to be healed? Because a lot of people I've seen lose massive amounts of weight, they never get to the point where they deal with what is really the core issue. And they still end up struggling. And it might not be with food. It ends up being with something else, because they don't ever get to the point where they address the inside. So it's important, even all the people that are on the GLP-1s, the weight loss may give you some physical confidence, but it's not going to heal what needs to be healed inside. So make sure you're dealing with that. Rachelle,
I made a list when I started reading that book. I was making a list of all the things that I want. It trailed way back to my childhood on things that bothered me.
Oh, absolutely. Because times have we just stuffed it and said, that's done, it's over, we're adults.
I look at that now back and forth, and I'm like, well, no wonder why I was in the situation I was in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that is so true. And
then it's hard because, you know, here I'm sitting here, I'm 50. And I'm like, could I have you? Oh, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago and all this and that. But I guess, you know, it wasn't my time yet.
God's timing. Yeah. God's timing. And, you know, what a blessing to even realize it, because a lot of people never get there.
I know.
So that God pushed you the whole entire way.
Yeah. And I want to highlight something that she said that was so key. You know, I don't want to minimize what the food did, because you were able to recognize that there was more that needed to be done after you silenced the noise, silenced the distraction. Because that's one thing I try and teach people all the time, especially when I'm trying to share with them why, you know, our Christian walk is just as important as it's a big part of it. You can't separate our physical health from our spiritual health. You absolutely can't. You have got to recognize that sometimes we need to clear the distractions. We are very distracted with pain, with feeling like crap, with sluggishness, with brain fog, with fatigue. If you can remove all of that and feel physically better, all of a sudden it lifts that fog and you can recognize, oh, wow, there's more work that needs to be done. Yeah. And you said it, you nailed it. You said that once you quieted that noise.
And it's still, to this day, I still struggle with things. I mean, it's getting better. It's slow. It's a slow process.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot more praying going on now, and, you know.
Right. You know where you get your strength from now.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's what's huge. But so many people miss that piece, Rachelle. I know some of the most spiritually devout people that I can even think of off the top of my head that have this separation between their physical health and their spiritual health. And that's very destructive. And I am a big believer. Wendy and I have talked about this on the podcast a number of times. That right there is spiritual warfare.
Yes, it is.
You know, who was it?
It's like the mind too, because it's all intertwined together. You can't separate any of it.
Yeah.
Physical, spiritual, and mental, they're all together on your entire walk.
Somebody recently, and forgive me, it could have even been you, Rachelle. I don't remember. Somebody recently sent me a link. Might not have been you, but it was somebody, of Billy Graham back in the 70s. Talking about spiritual warfare, about the food industry back then, because he was at least in a time where he recognized, because you think about it, the glyphosates came out in 1974, you know, that's the first decade that people actually started getting microwaves. You know, that's the first decade that processed foods became more of a thing, you know, your Swanson TV dinners and stuff like that. None of that stuff existed before then. So he was starting to recognize, oh, there's a problem here. And he still, of course, at his age, and I mean, he died, what, 8 years ago, something like that, at almost 100 years old. So he had seen what life was like before this. And all of a sudden he's seeing people getting, more and more unhealthy. I mean, nowadays, please, we far exceed anything that I ever dreamed of as far as disease processes and everything. But he saw it then as spiritual warfare, and he really tried to warn the church. And the enemy has been working ever since to convince us that our health has nothing to do with our spiritual journey. Yep. And what a bunch of lies. Yep. And you're proof positive, honey. I mean, you definitely did a lot of the physical work first, but like I said, that removed the fog, that lifted the cloud so that you could then assess and go, oh, wow, there's a lot of deeper work I need to do.
Yep. And that's what it's hard to explain to people. And they just take a pill for that other stuff, Right. And I'm like, no, I've been there. No.
There's natural ways to heal anything and everything.
Well, and you know what? What a great point, baby, because how many things do we throw pills at that then make us foggy? You know what I mean? It's like so many of the medications we take add to that brain fog, add to the fatigue, add to the symptoms that we still can't open our eyes and see where the work really needs to be done. And I'm just so incredibly proud of you. You have been on the opposite track. You've been, all right, let me remove as much as possible. And you've come a long way.
And I talked to my mom a lot about this too. And I says, those pills I said that I was on how many years ago to, fix everything. I said, they made my life more of a mess, a lot more of a mess. And I told her, I said, if I would have turned my around back then, it wouldn't be as a struggle to get to where I need to be now, but I'm getting there.
You are. What an inspiration you are. What would you say? And we haven't discussed questions here at all. So, if you're just like, wait, what? What would you say was your favorite part of the journey? Like as far as something new that you learned that you applied that now you can't imagine life without? Is there anything you can think of?
I think I've learned about a lot of new foods that I never had before. It was so much, chips and pizza, and I didn't have vegetables, and I didn't like vegetables at all, but I come to find ways to make them that I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
And now they're part of my daily life, daily before, I don't know.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great, because I know that's been my experience through Wendy's programs. Like some things that she was putting into the meal plans, I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
I have to look up on YouTube how to.
It's like, Wendy, what is that, and where do I find it?
I love when people reach out to me and they're like, sister, you've lost your mind. Like they'll see something on their meal plan and they're like, I am not mushing up avocado and sauerkraut together. You are absolutely crazy. And then
when I saw that one, I was like, did she mean to put this? It's actually really good.
That is the number one thing that people always reach out to me and go, girl, I thought you had absolutely lost it. And then I actually tried it and now I eat it every day. So yeah.
I don't doubt you anymore on meal plan stuff. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to make it and I'll find out for myself.
Was that one of those things that you liked or no, Rachelle?
The avocado and so I do. I enjoy that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. What would you say was there anything that was particularly hard that you felt like it was a lot bigger of a struggle to work through? Or do you think, once you just started on this direction that it just all came natural?
No, I wouldn't say it came natural. I think it was hard at first because you really got to be ready. Okay, you get the meal plans and I know you're giving the plans to me for a reason to help me with this, that, and the next thing. And I get it, but it's just, I was such in a mode that I would get off, at that time I worked third shift. I'd get off of work and you would swing into the gas station, get something quick to eat, go home. And there was I do my few things at home and go to bed, and now I have to like come home, go to the store, make stuff.
Yeah.
It's work.
Just
It's
getting used to that. Now it's not so bad because I make things ahead of time and I freeze it. So I have probably 2 weeks worth of frozen meals in the freezer right now.
Perfect. That is such a huge key to this.
Yeah. Prepping for ahead of time to make things quick and easy definitely helped me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's hard because around here, there's not a whole lot of good fresh items at all. And it's irritating. Right. Struggle to,
Not only that, you're in the frozen tundra. You're in Wisconsin. So it's like middle of the winter. I'm sure it's even harder, even though I know y'all are used to it. It's Southern girls here are like not even grasping the thought of, a nice warm day being 10 degrees. That just doesn't even compute. But yeah, so I'm sure that makes it even harder seasonally for you to get fresh food.
But once in a while, I say maybe someday I'll be blessed with somewhere else.
Maybe, but you have learned to adapt. You've done amazing.
You obviously have overcome a lot of that, a lot of the location issues.
We got a couple of comments here. I'm going to throw this up real here. Sarah Jane, she's one of my current one-to-one clients. She's a sweetheart. She said, that was me. Oh, I sent you the Billy Graham 2-hour prayer. Yes, that was you. That's right. I was like, somebody just told me that. And then she said, God gave us all we need for good health and prosperity. Amen.
Absolutely.
That is so true. While I'm doing this, let me just throw up our next sponsor real quick. This is Healthy Soul. This is, you get 10% off. Healthy Soul is tallow soaps. I'll tell you right now, when Wendy Flournoy gets hers up, I'm just saying, sure.
Yeah, that is one. My tallow soap is going on the website.
Yes. But I will tell you that Healthy Soul
there's plenty for everybody.
Yes, theirs is amazing, and they also have it looks very expensive because if you're comparing it to like soft soap pumps, you'll think it's very expensive. They have liquid tallow soaps that are amazing, and their formula is such that it'll last you forever. But also you can use it to wash your dishes, to wash your clothes, as well as, your hands, anything. So definitely encourage you to check out Healthy Soul and get 10% off when you use my code. All right. So, Rachelle, if you have one word of advice for anybody watching this who just feels so overwhelmed and just thinks, it's just going to be too hard. I can't do this. What would be some words of advice that you would give to people?
No, I'd say just keep going. It's well worth it. It might look hard that day, but you're going to be so happy you went. Either the next day, you're going to be so much more happier.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's been days where I've had to walk twice because I was frustrated,
Yeah. I love that though. You're like, nope, not giving up. Not giving up.
Well, you learn to do things differently instead of turning. A lot of us turn to comfort food when we're frustrated or irritated, and it's like.
And I did that a lot more than I realized, and
right.
I didn't realize it was that much of a problem until you look back and think, wow, that was a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you've even, and as does everybody, you've even been on the journey where you've learned more along the way. So I remember there was a period of time when you kind of hit a wall and you were really loving all of the healthy.
The
healthy snacks.
There was a few months in there where I was, I know I was overdoing that.
You got back on a lot of your snacky stuff, and it was all healthy snacks. And I tell people all the time, I got to the heaviest weight of my life eating clean.
Yep.
Because, early on in the journey, I had lost a bunch of weight, but then it was like, ooh, I can eat,
I can have this, and I can have this, and I can make this to have it in the freezer.
Yes. I had so many carbs, and that was before I understood macros, and I wasn't teaching anybody at the time. This was all my own personal journey. And I realized that there is a massive amount of balance that has to be learned when you're in this lifestyle, and you learned it and you overcame that and you kept on going. But I do remember that you went through that.
The thing of it is, if I were to have those snacks, if I just had a few cookies or a few or a small bowl of popcorn, that would have, but I didn't know when to stop. That's the problem. Then it would be a lot more than I should have. And
the
then
thing
I just don't even buy that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. And that's the thing. That's what I try and tell people. These companies
It needs to be that way.
they pay scientists to figure out exactly what ingredients. And it's interesting because even though we do everything we can, we don't eat the natural flavors. We don't do things like that. So you think, okay, completely safe. They still have a way of formulating things with things that don't even have to be listed on the label to addict you to those, to make you feel like you need more. So, granted, it's much less so in the natural products, but that, and also, I'm teaching Sugar Busters program tomorrow, and I know you both have done my Sugar Busters 2-week program, but I'm teaching it in the Seeking Whole Health community tomorrow. But a lot of people don't realize what a physical response we're getting from our dopamine addiction to a lot of these higher carb foods. We feel like it's like cocaine. We have it and it's like, oh, just one more hit. You just keep wanting more and more and more. And so you got to break that cycle. And you did a beautiful job of that, Rachelle.
You get to the point where you don't even want it anymore. I did have some clean popcorn the other day, and it had been quite a few weeks since I've had any. And I didn't eat the whole bag this time.
That's good.
I'm making progress. But I said, you know what? I don't even like it anymore. I just lost my taste for it.
Good for you.
It's amazing how that happens.
That is amazing.
Things that we thought were so good, if you go back and have them now, it's like,
yeah. Well, and you know what? Sometimes you have to be your own disciplinarian. I have certain things that only come into this house when I know we're going to have company. Right. Because I know I don't have a turnoff point for certain things.
Yeah.
And those types of snacky things are my nemesis. If I have those crackers, those chips, the Siete chips or anything like that in the house, I'm going to grab them. If I don't have
a lime bag is open, I'm eating the whole
thing. Exactly. But if I don't have them, I have no problem cutting up a cucumber and using that for my guac. I don't need the daggone chips, and so I don't think about them when they're not here. When they're here, all bets are off. So I've just learned, unless we're going to have company over who are going to help me eat these things, I don't put stuff like that in our house. And that's just my own, self.
How you control it, right? I mean, that's what I do.
That's absolutely right. So what else? What other words of encouragement would you like to share, Rachelle?
You really have to surround yourself with good people.
Oh, amen. What great advice.
That is
so
advice.
true. That is.
You'd have to end a relationship because, I was the old version of me was preferred. So,
you know what? Good riddance.
And it was like, well, you were so much happier when you were on those pills. So.
Well, I think a lot of people probably have experienced something like that where the people that they're in relationships with do their very best to sabotage their program that they're on or their progress that they're making.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we see someone changing so fast, it forces us to look at ourselves.
So true.
We don't want to change. So we don't want them changing, right?
That is so
just being encouraging and supportive and, because not everybody's going to want to change at the same time.
Yeah. Behavioral scientists have said for years that when you're trying to change your life and improve your life, to surround yourself with 3 people because whoever the 3 people you're closest to are who you are going to become, or be most like. So you've got to think about that. Let me surround myself with people who have the same goals and dreams and plans, or at least won't sabotage mine. I have a lady I worked with probably about 5 years ago, and I remember it just absolutely used to crush me because her husband at the time was so awful with her wanting to, improve her health. And he would think it's funny and bring home chocolate donuts and sit them in front of her and just laugh, and it's like, who does that? Now, needless to say, she is divorced and remarried and very happy and very supported these days. But I'm telling you, when you have people around you that do not support you and do the opposite and try and sabotage you, you gotta, I'm not telling everybody go out there and divorce their husbands. Please don't hear that, because I really encourage people to work through that. But if the other person isn't willing, it's tough. You've got to be very intentional about who you have around you. And when you have, and this is something I want to talk to everybody out there who is married, who thinks that their husband won't help them in this or won't be on board. You just get started. Because if you guys have a great relationship, with which most people that I work with do, it's not a relationship issue that causes this. But if you have a wonderful spouse and they are just like, nope, love my crappy foods, you do you, boo,
Mine says, I'll eat whatever you fix. But
yes. But you know what? That's exactly where it begins. And sometimes that's as far as it goes. But at least I know with my husband, I'll fix things. And there's a few things I know he'll never eat, and that's fine. So I usually will save those for when he's got a late night meeting or something like that. But if I am always keeping these healthy foods in the house, it's amazing how much it has affected his journey, because he's been able to look at it and go, oh, wow, I had no idea this would be healthy, or, oh my goodness, this is really good. And so generally the spouses will come along, and
especially if you start losing weight and you're looking better and stuff like that, they'll start doing it more with you, because they're like, oh, well, it's really working for her.
Yes. So, and then usually when the men get on board, they move with their weight a whole lot faster than us.
It's disgusting. They'll go right on past you. You've been working at it forever.
I just heard Bill telling one of my new clients that goes to church with us. He just told him the other day, he was like, just wait. You're going to make your wife so mad, because your weight is going to just come pouring off and she's going to be like, wait a minute. Men just do that.
Yep, they sure do.
Well, anything else you want to share, Rachelle, before we wrap this up? This has just been so wonderful, and I so appreciate
what an amazing story you have, Rachelle.
Yes.
Give God all the glory, and may he keep you going and going and going to continue your healing, continue your journey, and may you touch a lot of people with your story.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And you absolutely do. I know you get frustrated because you've shared with me that people around you don't take it seriously, even though, my goodness, you've lost a whole person. You've lost 160 pounds. It's amazing, but that being said, we're not doing it for them. If they aren't interested in the healthier ways to do things, that's on them. But
I think Wendy and I both have experienced frustration with that, with people not even if they know, because you've had conversations with them about the toxicity of what they're eating. They don't, they're not at a point where they care to really look that deep.
I often say that when, and this is the best analogy I can give. And I use this, unfortunately, in a naggy way to my husband quite frequently, but when you know that you are putting something in your mouth that is going to cause you pain, that is going to give you a headache, that is going to make you feel bloated, in Bill's case, it's going to flare up his rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah. It is the same thing as hitting yourself in the head with a hammer and wondering why you have a headache. So it is very frustrating for those of us who have finally grasped that, and that we don't want to have that headache anymore. So we're not going to keep beating ourselves in the head with a hammer. But it takes other people a little longer, sometimes to come along.
Just pray for them, Rachelle.
Absolutely.
I'm a lot better now. I pretty much don't say anything, and I figure, well, if they approach me with questions, and then I'll.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what the beautiful thing is? When your heart is filled with Christ, not only have they seen the 160 pounds come off, you have a glow about you. How many times did you and I meet face to face on our Zoom? And I'm like, what is this glow? I mean, look at you.
We met a lot.
I'm telling you, I know. I would love to see.
You are definitely glowing.
I would love to see a picture. I mean, I know what you look like, but we should post that at some point. A picture of you when you started your journey. Because not only, I mean, the 160 pounds is so obvious, but even just your skin tone, you just look, you gained, by reversing age, you gained 15 years of your life. I mean, like, you look amazing. And eventually people see that light of Jesus too shining, and they're going to start asking questions. And that's our door.
It's hard to see all that some days because, I'm like, I got a flare up here, a flare up there, or something that's got me down or something, and I can't get it out of my mind. I those things just put me, and I'm like, then I try to think back, you've been in this lifestyle for how long, and you accomplished so many things, but that one little thing can just put me right back to 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and that's when you need to pray a little harder, pray a little more, and can stay consistent anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of praise through the storm kind of thing, because it's temporary, right? Those feelings and those emotions and those things don't last. Everything's temporary.
It's also a spiritual attack. And we were talking about this before we went live. Yeah. That's one of those things that people don't always prepare you for.
That's true.
When you start walking with the Lord, the enemy attacks a lot harder. And so you have to be on your guard, stay in the word, be ready, put on the full armor of God, be ready, because he's going to come attacking. And one of his biggest, most successful fights is to remind us where we came from and who we were. And I'm telling you what,
because he wants to convince us that we're still that person.
Exactly. And we're not.
Just going to show you that you're still that person by having those flare-ups and you feeling the same way you did 2 years ago. And he's going to put you in that situation to make you feel like you've gone nowhere.
Right.
That's probably about my biggest struggle right now is you're not there no more. She doesn't live here anymore.
That's
Amen.
right.
That's right. Declare it, girl. Declare it.
Return to sender.
That's right. She is gone. You go looking for somebody else because you aren't welcome here no more.
That's why you really need those good people around you, because you get some of those bad people around you. They say, well, you're just going to be right back to doing this or doing that anyway in a few months, and I don't need to hear that.
No, you don't need the discouragement. You need encouragement.
Yeah.
You need people telling you the reasons why you should keep going, not the reasons that you should just give up.
That's right. I still have a lot of friends from my past life, of course, people that I love dearly and pray for all the time. But as far as who I spend my energy on and time with, I have to surround myself with other believers. I have to surround myself, put myself in a Bible study, surround myself with people who believe in forward progress, even in our 50s, right? All three of us are in our 50s, and we'll be nice. Rachelle just hit 50. So we're, won't call
she's
it
the 50 baby. Is that what you're saying? Rachelle, how do you like that? You're the baby.
Yeah. But I mean, we're all at that age, and it is very, very important that you don't surround yourself around people who are also in their 50s that are starting to, plan their funeral. Are you kidding me? We still have a lot of life left to live. We still have tasks that God's going to call us to, and we are equipping our bodies to be ready for what he calls us to. And if you are surrounding yourself with people who have that mindset, you're going to go so much further. You're going to go, and you're going to feel so much more encouragement. It makes a huge difference.
And it's never too late to start.
That's right.
For a while, it was like, well, my life is half over. I should have started this 10 years ago, but.
Girl, if I had a nickel for every time I wallowed in that, oh my gosh, why did it take me so long? My poor kids had to deal with a mama who was like this. My poor husband had to deal with this, and all this stuff.
I raised my kids on processed junk food, fast food.
Yes. Matthew, I've shared the story about Matthew for so long because he really was the catalyst. And Wendy was there when all of a sudden he got sick. She knows how sick he was and what a devastating time that was. Yes. When I realized what processed foods had done to him, don't think I didn't have massive mama guilt because I was like, oh my gosh, nobody ever taught me this. And I've been feeding my poison. And I thought I was doing good because I was very proud of those kids because I would pack their lunch because I knew enough to know school lunches were disgusting and horrible. Right. But I would pack their lunch and be so proud of them because they would eat their granola bar before they would eat their cookies, and that's the best I knew, so it was crazy, the difference. And so, we live and we learn, we can't go back. And the enemy
can at the moment with what you know.
That's right.
And I knew a lot of the stuff I knew was bad, but I guess I really didn't know how bad it was until you really start learning about it. And I'm like, ooh, wow.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. It's like, once you know, you can't unknow. So it's like the toilet paper. You get in the bathroom and you know about the toilet paper and the chemicals in the toilet paper. Every time you go to the bathroom, you're going to think about it. Yeah. Every time you eat that food that you've learned what it really is, you're going to think about it. Coffee, non-organic coffee did it for me because once I knew that it was the most heavily sprayed for pesticides and things like that, I could taste it every time I had a cup.
Yeah.
Before I went to organic and low acid. And it's like, I could taste it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing this.
And just to put it in perspective, how far Wendy and I had to come at the time that all this happened with Matthew, and I'm learning all this stuff. And of course, she's a sponge. I'm telling her everything I'm learning, and we're learning a lot of stuff together. We were crazy coupon queens.
Man.
We were teaching people.
We saved so much money.
We were
buying so much junk.
We were teaching people how to fill their houses with processed food for $3.
Walking out of Kroger with a basket full that where they pay you money.
Yes.
And it was all toxic junk.
Yes. So you want to talk about two girls here who had to do a complete mindset shift. Yeah. So it was huge but it's a journey. And so, I could let Satan fill me with all the regret and everything in the world. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And
get behind me, Satan. Not today.
Not today.
Tell him, Rachelle, not today.
I'm going to be doing that today, I think.
We use that
tomorrow and the next day
a lot where if you have something that you're struggling with or there's a battle of some sort and you don't feel ready to deal with it, you can just say, you know what? I'm just going to put that to the side for now.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to come back to it later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just tell Satan, I'll come back to you later.
And I'll tell you one other thing, and this will be the probably the biggest thing that I tell my clients, especially when they have a long journey ahead of them. Take pictures. Mm-hmm. And the reason is, and I remember you were struggling with that at first because you were like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But take the pictures because when you have those enemy attacks, when you are, hitting a plateau, when you are struggling because you're getting really snacky, when you're having, whatever kind of warfare is being thrown at you, you cannot, nobody can take away from you how far you've come.
That's right.
And with those pictures, even on your worst days, you can look at those and go, whoa, wow, and
I have come a long way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we forget how far we've come.
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have done a journal from the beginning, because
Yeah.
I know since I have enough days where I'm like, well, I'm not getting anywhere. Sometimes
Right.
I was looking, I found an old picture of me. I don't have too many because, it was one of those things that you're not proud of yourself.
Right.
Right.
Who wants to take a picture of me? But I don't know if I can. This is.
Wow, what a difference.
Shooey girl.
You look
Still
like-
beautiful, but yes.
But you look like a totally different person.
That was me. That was
160 pounds ago, huh?
Yeah, 160. But yeah, about 160 pounds ago. Yep.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Let's see what else Sarah Jane said. She has been awesome chatting with us here. She said, especially if they have to cook their own food because.
Oh, talking about the husbands.
Oh, yes.
Eventually they'll eat what you're cooking.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Bill loves everything I cook for the most part. I mean,
Rick hasn't complained. If he hasn't liked it, he hasn't complained.
And then SJ said, and thank God when the enemy reminds you of where you came from, because that shows God's goodness and grace. It's not who you are now. Amen, sister. That's so true.
That. Yes.
That's so true. All right. Well, any final words, Rachelle, before we talk about our last little stuff that we do before we wrap up this podcast?
I think I covered most of it. I can't think of anything else.
You have done amazing. SJ said, congratulations on your success. And we
Thank
are
you.
we all stand with her in that. That is.
Well, I can't wait to see where you are 2 years from now.
I know. I mean, the reality is, and we talked about this before we went live too. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That's right.
It is a journey. And that is not just our physical health. That is our spiritual health. That is our emotional health, our mental health. We are always going to be evolving, and when you are focused on improving your health, sometimes it's going to be, steps that you're taking new in your physical journey. I mean, like I've shared, it was only December when I finally got my sleep dialed in after years of saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I finally accepted that sleep was an important part of my health journey. So, I'm teaching people all this stuff. And that was one area I kept struggling in. So you're constantly going to grow when you allow yourself to. And as far as our spiritual journey, Lord, I pray that he lets me keep growing until he calls me home. Amen. The more you study, the more you read his word, the more you pray, the more you surround yourself around other godly people. Or at least they don't even have to be, seemingly godly. They just have to love Jesus.
That's right.
And the more you do that, the more you are going to grow in that area. So
I'll tell you, I know Wendy's not going to mind me throwing this out there, but if you're in a place and you're having a dark moment and you need someone to talk to and you don't have those people around you yet, please reach out to one of us.
Absolutely.
We will lift you up. We will encourage you. We will pray with you.
Yes.
All of the above.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've said many times that my schedule is insane and you might have a hard time getting on my calendar sometimes, but call me and tell me you need to talk about Jesus and we're going to find time because, those times when you're really struggling, he's the only one that can pull you through. And if that means I need to help get you, to where you can feel confident in that, call me, reach out, do whatever you got to do. I'm here for you. And I know Wendy is too. And I bet you Rachelle would love to answer anything about that too in her journey so she can encourage you all.
I know if anyone has any questions for Rachelle, you can feel free to send them to Wendy or myself or send them to, wendysonwellness@gmail.com, and we'll pass them to Rachelle and get you an answer.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, Rachelle, thank you so much. You inspire me every day. And I
need Rachelle.
You really do. And the days when, as a business owner, some days are dark and people don't realize that, when you start thinking, gosh, am I even doing what I'm called to do? Is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? When I have people like you in my life, it is God's reminder to me that I'm doing exactly what I've been called to do. And I can't thank you enough for the inspiration you give me and so many others every day. And I mean that with all sincerity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Wendy, what you got going on this coming week?
Oh, girl, all the herbal products. I am trying to get stocked up and working on the website to list things because I am trying to get into vendor fairs and farmers markets and things like that. And so I need to stock up on my product and get it listed on my website.
Perfect.
I make progress, girl. How about you? And of course, gardening and, 'tis the season.
It's the season, all the things. Yes. I have a lot of things going in the garden too. This is a very crazy week. I'm presenting Sugar Busters, like I said, in the Seeking Whole Health community tomorrow. If anybody is interested in being part of an amazing group of believers who are focused on natural living, they have a community much like our Freedom Holistic Wellness community. And they've asked me, they ask all the practitioners to present. Usually it's one new presentation a month, and I'm the one being featured this month. And so I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. Very excited about that. Yes. I am only doing my meal prep delivery service once a month. Oh my goodness. I have so many orders this week. I have to do a total of 42 meals and smoothies.
Oh my goodness.
To be delivered on Saturday. So it's a good problem to have, but it's like, got a lot to do.
That's right.
But it's a blessing. I'm excited to do that. And then, we are starting our new believers class at church, getting ready to gear up for some very special baptisms that I'm going to keep my mouth closed right now about, but we're going to be sharing a lot here coming soon.
God is on the move, y'all.
Woo! Is he ever?
I have talked to people recently that I never, ever felt like the seeds I were planting were working. They're working.
So amazing. You know, the average that I've heard for any of you all that ever get discouraged when you're planting seeds, and I know you've been there, Rachelle, so you'll appreciate this statistic. It takes 7 to 10 times for somebody even to have a touch point with somebody sharing the gospel before most people will even be open to it, much less, actually convert their life. And so don't ever feel discouraged when you feel like people aren't responding, because you could be sharing the gospel with the man and, driving your Uber, and it might be 20 people that mention something to him before he ever goes, wow, maybe I should actually listen to this. And so don't ever give up.
Sometimes it's years.
Yes.
Years of planting seeds.
The one in particular, but praying diligently for 10 years, every single day, multiple times a day. And I see the movement, and it's incredible. It's
amazing. I love it. So God is on the move. We're going to keep praying. We're going to keep encouraging, and we're going to keep calling on that powerful name of Jesus.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, next week we will sadly be without Rachelle. I think you should come back sometime. This has been awesome. We'll have to have you back and get an update here in a little while when you're ready to share some updates. So it's been such a blessing having you on here, and thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions at all for me about Rachelle, what Rachelle's gone through and how I can help you in similar ways, I mean, I am just a vessel, y'all. This is a God thing. And this is also a lot of work she put in.
That's right.
That is one thing I have to stress. I have a lot of people I work with, and most of them are willing to do the work. You can't just hire me and get the program handed to you and think it just happens by osmosis. You've got to be equally willing. I'm willing to put in the work on my end. You got to be willing on your end. And Rachelle is proof of this, because I'm telling you what, she has
gone above and beyond.
Woo, I'm so amazed by you, and just don't ever stop, girl. I'm so proud of you. You are going to inspire so many people throughout your life. So God bless you, honey. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you think about this. If this inspires you, share this story. The world needs to hear about Rachelle. She's amazing.
That's right. She is amazing.
God
Thank you again, Rachelle. Everybody else, we'll see y'all next week.
Yes, indeed. Love y'all.